Hello there, I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan, and this is Nightline, the top stories. Dato' Sri Najib to leave prison on Thursday for another trial. And Thai court suspends PM Prayut Chan-o-cha from office over term limit review. Good morning. On Thursday, former Prime Minister Dato' Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak will be brought out of the Kajang prison in Selangor. And that's for the hearing of the One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB case at the Kuala Lumpur High Court before Judge Dato' Colin Lawrence Sequeira. Normally, in criminal trials, the presence of the accused person is required during proceedings. If this happens, an order to produce OTP would be issued by the court to the prisons department to secure his attendance. Initially, the trial was to proceed from August 15th, but had to be vacated to accommodate Dato' Sri Najib's final SRC appeal in the federal court. He will also be taken from prison to the Kuala Lumpur High Court on Friday to attend the ongoing 1MDB audit report tampering trial. Apart from this, the former Prime Minister is faced with two other cases with regard to the 27 million ringgit SRC International Sdn Bhd money laundering case and 6 counts of criminal breach of trust involving 6.64 billion ringgit of government funds following payments made to the International Petroleum Investment Company IPIC. The 1MDB trial is also slated to continue on August 29th and 30th, September 5th to 8th, and other trial dates which are fixed until February 2023. Dato' Sri Najib is charged with 4 counts of abuse of power and 21 counts of money laundering of 2.28 billion ringgit of 1MDB funds. In the meantime, the Prisons Department said that there is no special treatment for former Prime Minister Dato' Sri Najib at the Kajang prison. The department, in a post on Facebook, requested the public to stop speculating that there are special prison facilities for VIPs at its prisons. It also denied the validity of a photograph that had gone viral, which was purported to be a cell for VIPs, complete with amenities. Earlier, a Facebook user uploaded a photograph of a purported prison cell that appears to be filled with amenities and claimed to be reserved for VIPs. The Facebook user claimed that prison cells for VIPs were equipped with a television set, internet, books, air conditioning, comfortable beds and mattresses. The Prisons Department also warned to stop spreading false information. Meanwhile, Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tan Sri Azhar Azizan Harun said Dato' Sri Najib may automatically lose his status as Pekan Member of Parliament 14 days from Wednesday. This is unless no other court procedures are initiated or a royal pardon is applied within that period. The Dewan Rakyat Speaker said this is in line with the federal constitution, which provided for a person to be disqualified as an MP if he or she is convicted and sentenced to more than a year in prison or a fine of not less than 2,000 ringgit and does not receive a royal pardon. At the moment, he said Parliament needs to wait for an official notification to be issued by the federal court regarding the punishments meted to Dato' Sri Najib. Tan Sri Azhar said that at the moment, there is no more appeal to the verdict made by the federal court. The federal constitution states that if there are court proceedings initiated, including a review, then Dato' Sri Najib's status as Pekan MP will remain until that proceeding is concluded. The Speaker added at the same time, according to the federal constitution, if there is a request for a royal pardon within 14 days, then his status will remain until the process of the royal pardon is concluded. Moving on, Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob heads the list of 347 recipients of the Malacca State Awards and Medals bestowed in conjunction with the 73rd birthday of the young Di-Pertua Negeri Tun Muhammad Ali Rostam. The Prime Minister received the Darjah Utama Negeri Melaka DUNM, which carries the title Datuk Seri Utama, at a special investiture ceremony at Sri Negeri Aikaro. A total of 883 recipients are slated to receive their awards at the investiture ceremonies held over 3 sessions, with the first on Tuesday and another 2 on Saturday. Bukit Aman Narcotic Criminal Investigation Department Director Datuk Sri Ayub Khan Maidin Piche and Indonesian Defence Minister Datuk Sri Prabowo Subianto will bestow the Darjah Gemilang Sri Malaka DGSM, which carries the title Datuk Sri. 26 people received the Darjah Cemerlang Sri Malaka DCSM, which carries the title Datuk Wira. They included Malacca Government Secretary Datuk Zaidi Johari and Bukit Aman Royal Malaysia Police Management Director Datuk Zaini Jas. 9 people were conferred the Darjah Mulia Sri Malaka DMSM, which carries the title Datuk, among them Transport Minister Secretary General Datuk Isham Ishak and Sabah Baitumal Corporation Chairman Datuk Dr. Omar Raisul As-Salam Shah As Omar. Rock singer Amy Serge, whose real name is Datuk Suhaimi Abdul Rahman, is among 163 recipients of the Darjah Pangkuan Sri Malaka DPSM, which also carries the Datuk title. The recipient of the Bintang Gagah Perkasa BGP, meanwhile, is the late Muhammad Dia Cik Juso, a firefighter from the Malacca Tengah Fire and Rescue Station, who died on October 20th, 2021 after a mishap during a flood evacuation operation at Kampung Sungai Putat. While Azwan Omar, also fondly known as Abang Viva, received the Pingat Jasa Kebaktian PJK for his role in helping flood victims. Now, Malaysia will not allow recreational use of cannabis. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said this during his working visit to Thailand to assess the potential use of cannabis and ketom for medical purposes and the legal framework for its medical use. In his social media post, Khairi said he met with Thai Deputy Prime Minister and Public Health Minister Kun Anutin in Bangkok, where they have allowed cannabis for medical use. He stressed that if the evidence gathered shows that cannabis is safe and efficacious for medical use, the Health Ministry will draw up a robust regulatory framework and clinical practice. For now, he said, rest assured, as recreational use is not being considered. "18 roads in the city centre will be closed from 6 a.m. to noon on August 31st to give way for the National Day celebration. Kuala Lumpur Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department Chief ACP Sarifuddin Muhammad Saleh said that Jalan Sultan Hishamuddin and Jalan Raja would also be closed for the rehearsal on August 26. ACP Sarifuddin said the roads involved are Jalan Traverse, Jalan Damansara, Jalan Damansara Bangsa Bound, Hishamuddin Roundabout, Jalan Kinabalu Selayang Bound, Jalan Kinabalu Cheras Bound, and Jalan Kinabalu at the Dato' On Roundabout. Others are Jalan Kuching, the Dato' On Roundabout from Jalan Parlimen, Dato' On Roundabout from Jalan Sultan Salahuddin, Jalan Tun H.S. Lee, Jalan Gereja, Jalan Hang Kasturi, Jalan Tunku Abdul Rahman, Jalan Raja Laut, Jalan Munshi Abdullah, Jalan Dang Wangi and Jalan Bunus Enam. He said the full rehearsal will be held from August 27th to 29th. All roads heading towards Jalan Raja, Jalan Traverse heading to Dataran Merdeka, Jalan Damansara from the Seremban Highway, as well as the exit to Jalan Traverse and Jalan Damansara from Parliament heading to Bangsa will be closed. In addition, roads at the Hishamuddin Roundabout, Jalan Kinabalu, both Selayang Bound and Cheras Bound, will be closed during the full rehearsal and all vehicles will be diverted to Selayang. However, he said no roads will be closed on August 30th. ACP Sarifuddin also urged people who want to participate in the Merdeka Parade on August 31st to use public transportation that will start operating from 4 a.m. He said all roads will be reopened to the public in stages once the parade ends, adding that a total of 175 police officers and personnel would be deployed to regulate traffic flow. Malaysia's largest integrated media group, Media Prima Berhad, reported a profit after tax of 20.8 million ringgit the first 6 months of the year ended June 30th, 2022. This was a 24% increase from 16.8 million ringgit earned in the previous corresponding period. MPB said its advertising revenue and content sales continued to be the major contributor to the overall financial performance, with strong and improved momentum across all of its businesses. Driven by its media solutions arm, Media Prima Omnia, the company's advertising revenue rose by 9% group-wide to 370.5 million ringgit in the first half of 2022 from 341.1 million ringgit in 2021. Its advertising is led by higher contributions from its broadcasting segment, which was represented by Media Prima Television Networks and Media Prima Audio. The segment posted a 15% revenue increase to 243.8 million ringgit in the first half of 2022 against the comparative period. Revenue from Media Prima's digital business Rev Media Group also rose 15% to 47.9 million ringgit. Media Prima's out-of-home business, Big Tree, posted a 13% revenue growth to 56 million ringgit, reflecting a gradual return in demand for out-of-home advertising, while content sales revenue rose 39% in the current period due to the increase in demand for local content from existing and new streaming service providers. Media Prima Group Chairman Dr. Syed Hussein Al-Junaid said the company was pleased to post encouraging growth in advertising across its businesses in the first half of the year despite the economic challenges. He said this not only indicates a recovery in advertising expenditure, it also reaffirms that Media Prima has become an undisputed leader in the media and entertainment industry. Group Managing Director Rafiq Razali meanwhile said the group will continue to reinforce its advertising and content creation revenue streams as these are the key strategic drivers. This, coupled with the company's continuous process and operational efficiency improvements, will bolster the group against any market headwinds moving into the second half of the financial year. After this break, Japan signals return to nuclear power.
Project delays, shortage of skilled workers, and less access to building products and materials. How do property developers manage these situations effectively? Intensified global supply chain disruptions. Will input costs remain elevated? Money Matters speaks with Bandar Imbayu Sindrian Berhad this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3.
Welcome back. Onto the foreign front. Thailand's Constitutional Court on Wednesday has suspended Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha from office while it considers a legal challenge that could see him thrown out months before an expected general election. This after the court agreed unanimously to hear a case brought by opposition parties who argue Prayut has reached the end of his 8-year term limit as Prime Minister. In a statement, the court said judges also agreed by 5 votes to 4 to suspend Prayut from office until the case is decided. Following the ruling, a caretaker will be appointed to lead the government, with current Deputy Prime Minister Prawit Wongsuwan among the favourite candidates tipped for the role. Meanwhile, several hundred anti-government protesters rallied at Bangkok's Democracy Monument on Tuesday ahead of the court ruling, and further demonstrations are planned. The stern, blunt-speaking Prayut has found himself increasingly out of favour with voters, and a recent opinion poll found 2/3 of respondents wanted him to vacate office immediately. Under Prayut's watch, the kingdom registered its worst economic performance in 30 years, and his government has also faced criticism over its handling of the pandemic. Singapore will do away with requirements to wear masks indoors starting August 29th as the country sees its COVID-19 situation stabilise further. In announcing the matter, the country's health ministry said for the first time in more than 2 years, people in the Southeast Asian city-state will no longer be required to wear masks indoors, except on public transport and in high-risk settings like healthcare facilities. The ministry said it has also updated rules for non-vaccinated travellers, dropping a 7-day quarantine requirement starting next week. The decision was made based on the country's COVID-19 situation, where about 70% of the city-state's 5.5 million population has already contracted COVID-19, with reinfection rate at very low so far. Singapore has vaccinated more than 90% of its population and has among the lowest COVID-19 mortality rates in the world. Japan will restart more idle nuclear plants and look at developing next-generation reactors, setting the stage for a major policy shift on nuclear energy a decade after the Fukushima disaster. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida on Wednesday said he had instructed officials to come up with concrete measures by the year-end, including on gaining the understanding of the public on sustainable energy and nuclear power. He said government officials also met on Wednesday to hammer out a plan for the so-called green transformation aimed at retooling the world's third-largest economy to meet environmental goals. Nuclear energy, which was deeply opposed by the public in the aftermath of the Fukushima crisis, is now seen by some in government as a component for such green transformation. The comments from Kishida, who also said the government would look at extending the lifespan of existing reactors, highlight how the Ukraine crisis and soaring energy costs have forced both a change in public opinion and a policy rethink toward nuclear power. Japan has kept most of its nuclear plants idled in the decade since a massive earthquake and tsunami in 2011 triggered a nuclear disaster at the Fukushima Daiichi power plant. Sports badminton, the 2022 World Championships. National top singles shuttler Li Zijia stayed in the hunt for the title after breezing into the third round on Wednesday. Li, who skipped the Commonwealth Games earlier this month to stay fresh for the World Meet, certainly looked the part as he cruised past Portugal's Bernardo Attilano 21-9, 21-13. It was just the result that Li needed as he looked efficient on court without overexerting himself. It is, however, the next round which gets trickier for the national shuttler as he meets either China's Zhao Junping for a place in the quarterfinals. Also in the third round was national men's doubles, Aaron Chia, So Woo-yik. World number 6 Aaron and So kept their nerves to edge past Taiwan's Liu Qingyao Yang Po-han 22-20, 21-18 to set up an all-Malaysian clash against Go Zefei Nur Izzuddin Rumsani, assuring at least one quarter-final spot. Go and Izzuddin, ranked 12th in the world, faced little trouble beating Ireland's Joshua McGee, Paul Reynolds 21-13, 21-12 in their second-round match. In the mixed doubles independent pair, Go Sun-hwat, Shevin Lai Jemmy brushed aside England's Gregory Mars, Jenny Moore 21-13, 21-18. They will face world number 9 Tom Jikel, Delphine Delroux of France next. Meanwhile, it was a nightmare for world number 10 Ong Yu-sin, Teo Yi, who were the bronze medal winners at the last World Meet edition. The national duo fell to a shocking 2022-2022 defeat to Singapore's world number 41 pair Terry He, Lo Kian Hian in 40 minutes. Also sent packing for home was Sonia Chia. The national women's singles shuttler failed to create an upset as she bowed to Tokyo Olympic champion Chen Yufei of China 17-21, 15-21 in 41 minutes. Going for a short break. When we return, man arrested after car carrying undocumented migrants crashes in Terengganu. Kelantan enforcement authorities seized 50 boxes of smuggled cigarettes worth about 350,000 ringgit in an operation on Wednesday. Tumpat District Police Chief ACP Amran Dola said no one was arrested in the operation conducted at Kampung Pasir Pekan Hile. ACP Amran said the operation was jointly carried out with the help of 10 enforcement agencies, namely the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, Customs, Immigration, and the Veterinary Services Departments, as well as the State National Security Council and the Tumpat District Council. This is the first ever joint operation this year aimed at curbing smuggling activities along the Kelantan-Thailand border. During the operation, the authorities found the 50 boxes left along the state river, which led to the discovery of 500,000 sticks of cigarettes. Investigations revealed that the cigarettes were smuggled in from Thailand. and were meant for local distribution. In Terengganu, a man's hopes of making some quick cash by smuggling illegal immigrants was dashed after he was nabbed following a road mishap at Kampong Tok Dor near Besut on Tuesday. The incident occurred when the Perodua Alza he was driving, crammed with 10 illegal immigrants, got involved in a road crash. Besut District Police Chief Superintendent Abdul Razak Muhammad said the man was believed to have been offered 1,200 ringgit to transport the foreigners from Ciku in Gua Musang, Kelantan to Gambang Pahang. He said the crash occurred at about 7:20 a.m. after the man was believed to have fallen asleep behind the wheel and crashed into a Proton Persona which was heading in the same direction before colliding with another oncoming Proton Wira. Following the crash, the illegal immigrants fled the scene, leaving only one of them who was injured. 3 of them were later apprehended by villagers and handed over to the police, who were looking for the remaining 6 illegal immigrants. Those arrested are aged between 19 and 47, while the driver, who is 34 years old, tested positive for drugs. Police also seized 4 pills, believed to be ecstasy, and 6 handphones in the incident. And over in Pulau Pinang, a police sergeant pleaded not guilty at the Butterworth Sessions Court on 3 counts of corruption involving 4,300 ringgit in gratification last year. The accused, 36-year-old Muhammad Azlan Muhammad Noor, made the plea before Judge Zulhazmi Abdullah. On the first 2 charges, the accused was alleged to have corruptly solicited 1,500 each in gratification from Said Shukri Said Radzi and Shahrul Nizam Abu Bakar, who were under investigation as an inducement to not take any action against them. He was charged with committing the offences at the Criminal Investigation Department of the Seberang Perai Tengah Police Headquarters on July 15, 2021. The charges were framed under Section 16A-B of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Act 2009. On the 3rd count, he was charged under Section 17A of the same law with corruptly accepting 1,300 ringgit in gratification from Said Shukri as an inducement to not take any action against him at the same police station on August 8, 2021. All the charges provide imprisonment for up to 20 years and a fine of not less than 5 times the sum or value of the gratification or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is higher, if found guilty. Muhammad Azlan was allowed bail of 12,000 ringgit with 1 surety and was also ordered to surrender his passport, not to intimidate witnesses, and to report himself at the MACC office once a month. The court set September 26 for mention. Now, as we wrap up this edition of Nightline, let's take a look at this video compilation of nasty skiing fails experienced by Maharavo Nicholas over 2021's winter season. Despite botching simple jumps as well as complex flips, Maharavo doesn't give up and eventually lands a picture-perfect gainer. With that, I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan. Thank you for watching and stay safe.